Welcome back to the Strong Girl Secrets podcast. I'm Adam, the fiance.
Hey, I'm supposed to do the introduction first. This is my podcast.
This is Coach O, the coach, and this is Banjo, the puppy.
What's up, Strong Girls? I'm Coach O, and this is Strong Girl Secrets. We are joined today by the one and only fiance and the puppy Banjo. The whole family's here right on the couch.
Don't mind his chewing.
Yes. Well, speaking of chewing and snacks, today's podcast, do you see that segue?
It's very good.
That was great.
Very good.
Today's podcast is going to be all about nutrition and specifically talking about nutrition with youth athletes. So I'm talking youth athletes from the ages of like 10 or 12 up to 18 years old. So first, I want to start off this podcast with a disclaimer that I am not a certified nutritionist.
Nor are we. We are not either.
Yeah, none of us here are. But not a certified nutritionist. I'm a certified personal trainer. So this nutrition advice is just coming from my own personal experience growing up playing sports, and then also working with the athletes I am now, and then seeing how the nutrition plays into their training and their performance. So this is just going to be some general advice that I'm giving out. If you find yourself not in the boat for general advice, definitely reach out to a medical professional or a certified nutritionist if you feel like you need some more guidance.
Beautiful.
Thanks. Also, as I'm speaking, I just hear his little crunching. So if you hear the crunching,
enjoy it.
Enjoy it. Hopefully you're crunching on a fun snack while you're listening to this. All right, so we have two main topics we're going to be talking about today. And the first one is going to be about tracking your nutrition. So should athletes be tracking their nutrition? So to me, this is like a double-edged sword, because on the one hand, I think learning the breakdown of your food is so important. I think that's something that the traditional school system, at least in America, is missing out on, is teaching kids, what a carb is, what a fat is, what a protein is, how many calories come from each of those, why we need each of those macronutrients. I think it's gone over very broadly in biology class, but when it comes into how it affects your metabolism, your performance, your body composition, I think that's something that's missed out on. But
those Bosco sticks are good. They are good in school.
The cafeteria Bosco sticks. You just had to put that in there.
Yep.
On the one hand of that double-edged sword, I think it's important for kids to learn about that. But there is that slippery slope of, the more you know, we don't want that to be leading into eating disorders, stuff like that. So I think it's touchy. I think it needs to be approached in the right way. I hope, I'm a resource that does approach it in a good way for youth athletes and young adults. This is distracting. On the other hand, I personally don't think that athletes need to track every single thing that they're eating in order to be successful. I think if they have a baseline knowledge and are just aware of what they're putting into their bodies, I think that's going to be more than good enough for them to perform well. So, with that...
So let's just...
Yeah.
Can we just go from somebody who's very general and recreational in their sports? What would you advise them to do? And then maybe on the opposite end of that spectrum, somebody who really wants to dial in their nutrition for performance. What would you suggest the bottom end of that spectrum and the top end? What should both sides be doing?
Gotcha. So I think for that general, your kid who's playing in rec sports, YMCA, whatever, hitting soccer practice just on the weekends, I think as long as they are having that good foundation throughout the week at home, they're getting their breakfast, lunch, and dinner, a few snacks here and there. I think overall we need to be looking at the quality of the food that we're eating. I think that is probably the most important over tracking anything, right? Is having quality food. And there's those buzzwords on Instagram and social media with clean, whole foods, whatever, and or what's a healthy food versus a junk food, and there's all these people like saying like, oh, we shouldn't be using these terms, blah, blah, blah. But I think it's good to use those terms, but not like demonize the other terms, right? And so we hear about this like 80-20 rule. As much as I don't like to be cliche, I agree with that 80-20 rule, right? Like 80% of the time we're eating those whole foods. So that's your meat, your dairy, your good source of carbs, fruits, vegetables. What am I missing out on?
I think that's it.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, and there's that like rule that if you shop the perimeter of the grocery store, that's a great rule. That's where you're going to find your produce, into your dairy, into your meat, into a little bit of the better bakery area.
Me and Banjo go to the middle where the chips are, where the coffee is.
All the packaged foods. And that's not to say packaged foods aren't good. You have to go into the middle of the store to get your olive oil, to get your salt, right? Those are still good foods. And this is where that 20% comes in. Like, there is a time and place, honestly, every day, if you want to have your chips, your crackers, your more processed foods. You can find some good canned soups that are all organic and
just not the whole bag.
Just not the whole bag of chips. No. So yeah, I think getting back to that general athlete, making sure that we're getting, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, a few snacks here and there. Majority, 80%, is getting that quality food. And I think that's where parents can set their kid up for success is, it's up to the parent. The 12-year-old's not going to go to the grocery store and shop for themselves. And if they are, that's cool. I loved going grocery shopping with my mom growing up. But I think, providing those foods to your kids is what's going to set them up for success, throughout their developmental years, but also I think setting them up for success when they're an adult, like when they're going to go off to college and be on their own and have to cook and eat food on their own. I think that's such an important life lesson that can start from the beginning.
And then on the other end of the spectrum, maybe the person who wants to eat for performance and like play at the highest level.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at that, obviously you're human, so still staying with that foundation, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 80-20, mainly focusing on the quality of your food. But I think at that point, just understanding, to me, the two important macros are your carb source, right? That's going to be your instant energy that's going to give you that energy to perform, but also carbs after you work out, because that's going to be quick stuff that gets digested that can be used to replenish the energy you just expended, but then also focusing on protein, right? So if you're an athlete who's wanting to gain weight and put on muscle and gain strength in the gym or in your sport, having that protein goal and hitting it every day is going to be the thing that sets you apart from other athletes. And so I think, if you're that athlete that is going for performance, having a little bit more knowledge and I think just more awareness when you're going throughout your day, picking your foods and, making your meals, that's gonna help you out in the long run.
And you probably advise that type of person to track more.
I'd advise them to track more, yes. And if it was me recommending stuff to the girls I work with, I would tell them, like, if there's only one thing you're going to track, it's going to be tracking your protein. Because I think that's the most important thing when you're looking to make those performance improvements. Now, if you're someone, and we'll get into this, with energy or issues with energy surrounding your performance, then I would say I still want you tracking protein, but I also want you to be tracking your carbs. Right?
Cool. And
this isn't to diminish fats, and I think we're all over the point of saying eating fats will make you fat, right? Fats are an important energy source. It's just not that quick energy source. And I think we get enough fats in throughout our days through cooking with healthy oil or cooking with butter that I don't think fats is something that we really need to like dial in on and focus on. Yeah, if you're eating that whole quality diet, fats aren't going to be the thing that, if you cook well, they're not going to be the thing that puts you over the edge one way or the other.
And last thing with this, barring eating disorders and not wanting people to go down the wrong path with tracking, how would you advise an athlete who wants to dial it in actually track?
Yeah.
Would they do that right in a journal? Do they use apps? Like, what's the best way for them to keep track of everything?
I think I would actually recommend athletes to not use an app, right? The app that everyone knows is MyFitnessPal, and I think it's a great tool. It's great that it's a free tool for us to use, but doing it on an app like MyFitnessPal is going to show you every single little breakdown. It's going to show you your carbs, your fats, your sodium, your cholesterol, all that kind of stuff. I think that's almost too much data, and I think the more data somebody has, the easier it's going to be for them to fall into that like eating disorder.
Consuming.
Yeah, right. And so I think, honestly, you can just type into Google, like, weigh your food and be like how, let's say it's, 4-ounce chicken breasts, that usually like the standard. You can type in how much protein is in a 4-ounce piece of chicken breast, and then you see, 20 grams of protein. I actually have no idea if that's right. 20 grams of protein, and you log that, right? Because then you're just logging your protein, right? And so over time, something that I've done in the past is like make a little cheat sheet. For me, like I'll never eat more than 2 scrambled eggs at one meal at a time, right? So I just put up 2 eggs on the refrigerator, and I know, boom, 2 eggs, 12 grams of protein, right? It's easy. I don't have to think about it again, and I can just easily put that in my notes app or a journal or something. And again, this is up to the athlete and the coach that they're working with, but if it's something that they just want to make sure, all right, I'm hitting, and remind me to bring this number up, I want to make sure I'm hitting 100 grams of protein a day, you can just track yourself daily, but I don't think you actually need to be holding on to these pages of journals, or you don't have to have a huge long list of notes. Just doing it day by day, and then boom, you hit it, and you're good, I don't think that there's many coaches out there, I mean, at least this isn't something I would do, that'd be like, hey, you got to bring me in your food journal. I think there's very specific sports that would require that to happen. Maybe those more higher level Olympic sports, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
I'm going to remind myself.
Let's go.
I think getting, we're talking so much about protein, is how much protein should athletes be getting? And so the general rule out there for females is 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. And so I think that's a great goal to be hitting. And now this isn't to say if you don't hit that goal in a day, you suck, better luck next time. Like, no, like it's a spectrum. If you're 10 grams under one day, but then 15 grams over the next day, over the week, over the month, it all balances out. And so I think getting back to your point of like, we don't want this athletes tracking to fall down the slope of heading into an eating disorder. I think just, understanding that, you can bubble around your number and, just kind of focus on that from the day to day.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's next?
And just a little note that I put in all caps here. Don't be afraid of calories.
Do not.
Do not. Well, actually, before we go on to what's next, should we talk a little bit about carbs?
Sure.
Cool. If you're going to track something other than protein, I don't think you need to track carbs like to the gram throughout your day, but, I'll put some more resources on Instagram and stuff like that, but having, 20 to 40 grams of carb in like a pre-workout snack, that's an easy number. And I think those are, it's not like a daily number I'm looking for carbs. It's just like, all right, in your meal, you're maybe getting this many carbs. The carb numbers that I really focus on are pre-workout and post-workout carbs. Those are going to be the ones that I hit the most.
Cool.
Now we can move on.
All right. What's next?
We're going to be talking about the food schedule. And kids, you guys are all over the place. I've seen it a lot. Because I've had athletes, and I'm not going to call you girls out, but you know who you are if you're watching. Some days, they're hitting great numbers in the gym, they're bouncing off the wall with energy, and a lot of this might have to do with sleep, homework, friends, whatever, which that's its own little bubble. But another one is hey, I noticed you didn't hit that number today in squats and you're a little bit lagging and you come at the same time every single day. What's going on today? Did we eat breakfast? No. What did we have for breakfast? Oh, like handful of Cheez-Its. Or nothing. That's the one that usually girls don't tell me. They'll stand there for a good 30 seconds and be like, oh crap, she's on to me. And that's something that you can't get away with. Your coach can tell when you haven't eaten and you haven't fueled yourself. There's no way in hiding it. Even if you try and fake it, we can see it in, one, your face, and if you're a really good actor and you're still smiling, we can see it in the way your body moves, right? You're just dragging.
Not bringing that juice.
Calm down. I love the energy. Thanks.
I ate today.
You did eat today. See? He's ready to go. That was really loud. Sorry. Okay, so starting at the top of the day, breakfast. Making sure that we're getting in breakfast. And let's just stick with the school year schedule for athletes, right? Because that's taking up 10 out of the 12 months of the year. I know it's early. I know we gotta go to school. We're not very happy about going to school, but you have to get breakfast. And for me, this is a good thing. Let's get a little personal here. What did your before school breakfasts look like? And we'll talk about my before school breakfasts.
Don't we want to talk about ideal breakfast? My breakfast is not going to be ideal.
I know, but maybe it's a good
It was just straight up cereal. Cereal and milk.
Cereal milk. Saying straight up cereal makes it sound like you didn't put milk in your cereal. Okay? Well, that's a classic breakfast that most people have. And we can talk about a cereal option. We totally can.
Okay.
My breakfast was either nothing, which was really bad, or usually it was toast or a bagel. Sometimes oatmeal. But something that I think we can now reflect on both of our breakfasts is what were we missing out on?
Protein.
Say it, protein. We're missing out on protein.
You get a little bit in the milk.
Right.
But
and I get maybe a little bit with my cream cheese. But we're talking 2 or 3 grams of protein here, and mainly carbs, right? And we're not demonizing carbs. Carbs are still great. But starting off your day, when I've started out my day with a decent amount of protein and healthy fats, I felt, 1, more satiated, 2, better energy. And it starts me off, sometimes when you're starting off on that really big carb, sugar, right, you have that immediate crash in energy.
Falling asleep in school.
Yeah, can't do that. So, talking about breakfast, right, making sure we're getting in that breakfast, and if you are eating cereal, or if you are eating the toast and the bagel, getting scrambled eggs, some bacon, some sausage on the side, or
Yogurt,
that's a great option, or even a protein shake. And I'm a big believer, supporter of protein shakes. I know a lot of people are like, you can't just replace your meals with protein shakes, and I agree. However, you can really boost these protein shakes if you want. I've made some protein shakes that are 600 to 800 calories. They are packed. That's a full-on meal. And so to me, if you're somebody who doesn't like to wake up early or wants to have their breakfast on the go because they're always late for school, I was, or I had a 30-minute drive to my high school, so that's time I could be drinking a protein shake. You can make the protein shake the night before. You can prep the ingredients the night before. You can pre-prep the ingredients for the entire week. You know what I mean? If you're going for that big hunk of protein shake. Now, you could have the cereal or you could have the little toast and bagel and take a mini pre-made, Fairlife, Owen, whatever, protein shake in the car, and that's gonna be 20 grams of protein right there. So those are some good breakfast ideas you have right there. And, easy amount of calories you can get in the morning. But breakfast, what's that saying? It's the most important meal of the day.
That is the saying.
It's true. I mean, it's a cheesy cliche saying for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cliches are cliches for a reason.
Yeah. Alright, so that's breakfast. Now let's talk about lunch. And this is that lunch, now, we're still talking about that school schedule. I've had so many different girls at different schools, and they tell me these crazy lunch schedules. I mean, some are eating lunch at like 10:30, and school starts at 8. And for me, like if I had that big protein shake, right before school or during my first class even, I don't want to be eating lunch an hour and a half, 2 hours after I get to school, but that's the only time they have. And then some are also only eating lunch all the way as late as like 1:30, and they're getting out at like 2:45 or 3. So lunch is tricky. Like, depending on timing, I still think you should be having, that full-on, high-quality, good meal. For me, a meal is carbs, protein, and fats. You should still be having that at lunchtime. But if your lunchtime is at an awkward time, right, and we're talking about timing here, then you do need to supplement with a snack. Let's say lunch is at the optimal time. Let's say, breakfast is at 8 or 7, lunch is at 11:30 or 12. You're good. You're spacing your meals out 4.5 hours-ish, right? Now, if your lunch is at an awkward time, let's say that 10:30, and then you have practice at like 3, and you haven't eaten anything for that 4.5 hours, and then you're expected to perform well at practice or even a game after school, and then the next time you get to eat is what, 6:30 or 7? The last time you ate, how many hours is that? That's 9 hours.
Too many to count.
Way too many to count, yeah. Except I just did some quick mental math, so that was good.
Public math. Good job.
Thanks. So anyways, making sure that we have access to snacks at school, right? Because we are in school. Now we're going to be talking about my favorite snacks. Snacks could be, I'm going to throw in protein shake, but when we're considering snacks, I like to have more like carb-heavy snacks, especially if you're going to be using the snack as like a pre-practice or pre-game fueling source, right? So protein shakes, great. Protein bars, also good. But I'm looking for like the popcorn, like the pre-made popcorn bag. And when I'm listing these off, these are things you can chuck in your bag or have multiples of in your bag to have throughout the week. Or if you're like, it's like your emergency stash. Or you can be that awesome friend who gives it to the friend who needs a pre-workout snack. So popcorn, goldfish, just like regular granola bars, doesn't have to be a protein shake. Bananas, great. Probably the best pre-workout snack you can have. Any sort of fruit that's a little bit more dense, so like apples, grapes, berries, not so much, but still good. A great one, like juice boxes, right? These are all quick carb sources that you can get in. Also Uncrustables. That is a fan favorite. I've never had them. I'm allergic to them.
Yeah, you shouldn't have them.
I shouldn't have them. Those are something that if you do need a lot of calories, and remember, we're not straying away from calories. We don't have to be afraid of calories. But if you had your lunch at 10:30 and you have a big game and you really have no time, grab that Uncrustable.
Alabama softball, big fans of Uncrustables.
Yes. Did you grow up eating Uncrustables?
No.
No?
Peanut butter sandwiches.
Oh, you made them. Have you had Uncrustables now as an adult?
I've had one.
One?
One or two.
What flavor was it?
They have grape and strawberry.
Okay. Which one was the best?
I'm a fan of grape.
Classic.
Yeah.
Have you seen the ones, like it's peanut butter and Nutella?
No.
They had that. They have that. They have like peanut butter honey. They have all these flavors.
Uncrustables, you better sponsor this podcast.
Sponsor us, please. Okay, so that's pre-practice snack in relation to your lunchtime. I know that kind of all meshed in there, but hopefully that made sense to everyone.
So,
yes.
Snack, from what I heard, you want it mainly to be carbs?
Mainly carbs. Get some protein in there if you can. But if this is something, and I'll put this resource down below. I have a little pre and post workout practice or game athletic activity, pre or post athletic activity guide that has timing of a snack as well as some snack ideas, right? If you're really, really close to game time, like I'm talking within 45, 30 minutes, that's got to be something that you can know is not going to upset your stomach, and it's going to be really easily digestible. And that's going to be like fruit snacks, the juice box, a piece of fruit, maybe your granola bar. Something that's a little bit on the heavier side that still has carbs and protein, that's going to be your Uncrustable, a full protein shake, a protein bar, stuff like that. And a lot of this is going to be like trial and error and like know what your body can handle. Obviously, you don't want to be like chugging a full protein shake and a protein bar and then getting on the field in 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. That's not going to end up well for anybody. So yeah, understanding that, but I'm going to leave that resource down below because timing, cliches, we're all about cliches. Timing is everything.
It is everything.
So, yeah. All right. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so we just talked a lot about the pre-workout snacks, but I love pre-workout snacks. I'm a big snacker. All right, so after your training, your practice, your game, time for dinner. And dinner is just like breakfast or lunch. It should be a meal. Say it with me. Meals have carbs, proteins, and fats. It's your balance. That's your 80% whole good foods.
Can you just break down what examples of carbs, proteins, and fats would be in meals?
Yes, great question. Great question, student Adam.
Thank you. We've just been saying it a lot, and I just want to make sure that we give those examples.
Yeah. So carbs is going to be something that's like a starch. So that's going to be like a bread, pasta, bagel, potatoes,
rice,
quinoa, fruit, vegetables. But like, if we're being real here, most vegetables don't really have much to them.
So it's going to be your grains, your starches.
Yeah. The stuff that we all love.
Pastas.
Potatoes, bread, and pasta. I mean, who doesn't love it?
Yeah.
Right? Protein is going to be, the protein is the buzzword we've been using this whole time. That's your meat, your dairy, eggs, beans and lentils, and nuts. Mm-hmm. I don't eat a lot of those because I'm allergic, but great sources there. Mm-hmm. Anything else I missed on the protein front? Protein shakes, but that's not really like...
And meat's just chicken, steak, beef. Fish. If you're a vegetarian.
Tofu?
Yeah.
Tofu, yeah.
Sorry,
we're not vegetarian.
And then fats.
Fats are going to be like your oil, so anything you cook with, so olive oil, butter, avocado oil. You're going to also find fats in your cheese and dairy, right? So like cream cheese, cottage cheese, yogurts. You don't have to unless, again, this is all dependent on you, reach out to a nutritionist or a medical professional. I personally don't think you have to stay away or really, as a youth athlete, have to be so concerned with non-fat milk or non-fat yogurt, right? If we're looking for calories, get the full fat stuff.
Yeah.
And to me, it tastes better, but that's just me. Banjo, how was your snack? See, he had a snack that was all protein. No carbs, all protein. Because we're ripped.
All right, we're talking about dinner?
Yes, now we're talking about dinner. Yes, because you stopped me.
I did.
Dinner, 80% whole foods. We're in that category of the day. Protein, carbs, fats. Or, I'm going to say this too. There is nothing wrong. If you got done with a game at 8 or 9 o'clock and you go through the drive-thru, totally fine. We've all been there, right? It's that 80-20 rule that we're following here. And you can get high-protein options at restaurants, at fast food places. So, yeah, as long as you're getting that in, you're good. That's dinner. And then dessert. Dessert's my favorite. Again, we are not demonizing any foods here. Just because you're, a high-performance athlete or wanting to, be XYZ with your athletics does not mean that when you go to the birthday party, you have the family event, the wedding, or even just you're hanging out with your friends or you're having a movie night, have the ice cream, have the brownie, have the cookies, the cupcake, whatever. Like, it's life, you know? And again, just more calories, you know? Like, you need, at the end of the day, like, you need calories to perform. Period.
Period.
All right. So, that's pretty much it that I have to cover with nutrition, unless you feel like I've left anything out.
The only thing I would say maybe to touch on when it comes to energy around activities could be just a quick thought on hydration.
Yes.
Because I'm sure you get girls who come in and they're like, I haven't drank water at all today.
Yeah.
And just a quick note on that.
Right. And I think we could do a whole podcast just about hydration.
I'm sure we will, but
Yeah.
just make a point.
I think like hydration, again, so important, and you know, we can put in, actually I have a number, it's your pounds that you weigh divided by 2 is the ounces of water you should be drinking, minimum. So let's just say, let's make it easy, you're 100 pounds, divide that in 2, that's 50, you're drinking 50 ounces of water a day, and that's minimum. That's, to me, you're just living life, sitting on the couch, going to school, not doing anything active. If you're doing stuff active, you're hitting that 50 minimum, but getting anything over that you need, right? And what I don't want to see is that you're chugging water right before you have to perform, because hydration comes as like a multiplication of what you're doing day after day after day after day, right? Like when I was preparing for field hockey games, I remember you were getting on to me, right? Like I have to be hydrating 3 to 4 days before my game day, right? If you have to travel, if you're a college athlete out there and you're traveling on a plane, I'm sure you guys, right? Traveling makes you so dehydrated. Like, hydrate 3 to 4 days before you have to perform, right? And you're hydrating a lot when you're traveling. But I think just getting back to the daily hydration is, I mean, we're all carrying those Stanley water bottles around with us anyways. Like, put it to good use, right? You're filling it up with water. One of those is 40 ounces. Like, for most of us, we're drinking 1.5, 2 to 2.5 of those a day, right? It's with you all the time. I personally would not just chug a whole one and then wait a few hours. Like, sip it throughout the day. Throughout the day and throughout the days, plural, right? Just having that constant hydration intake will help you out with your energy and your performance, your cramps, literally everything. Water is the ultimate.
You guys have all your skincare routines and you're not drinking your water? That's the number one thing for your skincare routine.
You just called out so many people.
That's why I'm here.
What's your skincare routine?
Just drink water. An Element.
Drink water, yes. And Element. We love Element.
We'll talk about that some other time.
Yeah, some good hydration packets. So, yeah, but I think that's all we have for today's episode of Strong Girl Secrets. We just spilled all the secrets on athlete nutrition. So, yeah. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them down below. And be sure to like and subscribe and follow us on Spotify podcasts and here on YouTube. Where else? Instagram, TikTok, all the good stuff. I'm not going to list them all out. We all know everyone's on everything. So yeah. And if you have any requests or recommendations for future podcast episodes and topics, please let us know, because this was episode 2. We got so many episodes to go.
Good job.
Cool. Thanks for joining us here on Strong Girl Secrets. Banjo, say bye. Say bye. Also, look how much we ate during this podcast. This was like this long at the beginning of the podcast.
It's a good snack.
We got some protein. What was I going to say? Hang on. Don't turn off the camera. Bonus points for those of you out there who knows what this is.
Comment.
Comment below. See ya.